Well, in politics, there are plenty who come and go without leaving an impression. John Wacka Williams is not one of those politicians. And there are plenty of people in politics who do what they're told to do and toe the line the whole time. Wacka is not one of those politicians either. Although John Williams belongs to the National Party and he is supposed to do what the National Party tells him to do, he's always done what he thinks is right. The whole country saw this when it came to the Banking Royal Commission. The Coalition repeatedly rejected the idea. They didn't think a Banking Royal Commission was needed, and they voted against it again and again and again and again, but Wacka Williams didn't care. He was the only senator in the government to cross the floor and vote to support the Banking Royal Commission. Now all of Australia knows that Wacka was right, the government was wrong, and after 11 years in Canberra, Wacka is calling it quits. He'll be leaving the Senate shortly, and it's my pleasure to crack open a bottle of whiskey and have a chat to Senator John Wacka Williams before he bails from Canberra and goes back to Inverell for good. Wacka.
Ben, good to be with you.
Great
Thank
to see you, mate.
Good to be here.
Now listen, this is an Andrew Bolt tradition, having the whiskey on a Thursday night. This is the Black Widow Honey. Now, Andrew usually has these real fancy pants whiskies, right, from Japan and all this kind of thing. This was given to me for my 21st birthday. Right?
That's going back a while now.
I'm now 42, and I don't drink whiskey.
Nor do I.
I like tequila and I like
My
vodka.
wife drinks it with ice, but I like to usually have a dash of dry ginger with it or something.
Let's just have a little taste and we can... Cheers.
Cheers. Ben.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
Good to be here.
Oh! Hey! Wow. That's been sitting on the shelf for a while.
Killer brown snake. It wouldn't really... That's quite nice.
It's sweet.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The honey.
Didn't fix Jane Fleming's voice.
No, we tried. We gave it a little try beforehand.
Yeah.
Mate, are you sad?
Different feelings. I want to go home to my wife Nancy. I want to see my kids and grandkids because my oldest son David, his wife Tammy live in Cairns with 3 grandsons. My daughter Rebecca and husband Pat are in Brisbane. And my younger son Tom and wife Sarah in Newcastle. 7 grandkids now, Ben, so hardly see them twice a year if I'm lucky. And my wife Nancy, I enjoy being with her every minute of my life, so keen to get back on the farm. If only it rained, as the bloke once said, it's as dry as a Pommy's towel when you come to the weather at the moment.
We'll get to the drought in a minute. You've covered some miles. You've covered
huge amount of
long space.
A lot of travel, huge amount of travel, and away along a lot of the time.
You've calculated, you reckon about 1,500 flights?
In 11 years, about 1,500 flights.
Because Inverell, for people who don't know Inverell,
yeah.
and just compare it, you gave me a great comparison, say, with Julie Bishop, who's in the West, in Western Australia.
I'd leave home, leave the farm with Nancy, pick the staff up 11 o'clock Sunday morning, get to Canberra about 5:30 Sunday evening if the planes are on time. Now, of course, they're not always weather, breakdowns, or whatever might delay them. But Julie Bishop would get to Canberra quicker from Perth than I'd get from Inverell to Canberra. So 2 flights to get there, an hour and a half drive or longer. 2 flights, then Armidale to Sydney, Sydney to Canberra, then Friday the same home, so it's 4 flights a week just to go to Parliament.
And you've done 1,500 of those flights?
Yeah.
You took a lead role in campaigning for the Banking Royal Commission. You lost a few mates on your side of politics through all of that because they were kind of saying to you, Wacka, drop off, shut up.
No, they didn't really, Ben. The good thing about being in the Liberal Party and National Party is you could do your own thing. If you're in the Labor Party and you cross the floor, you're on your bike, you're out, you're gone, you're finished. But in Liberal Party and National Party, if you cross the floor, some might give you a bit of a roll of the eyes, look at you if they didn't believe in you or didn't think you were just stirring. But when I first started in the Senate, I met with the storm financial victims up at Redcliffe in January 2009, and then it sort of started coming into my office, and if even half what came to my office was true, we knew we had a problem in the finance sector, and so, yeah, I stuck with it, and finally we got it, and as they say, the rest is history.
You know what it's like to have the bank come knocking on your farm and saying, time's up.
Yeah, my brother and I, Peter and I, got involved in a foreign currency loan in Swiss francs back in 1985, and that ended up a total disaster. It was when Bob Hawke and Paul Keating had deregulated the banking industry, and I think the local banks were fearful of foreign banks coming in and taking all the customers, so they went into these foreign currency loans, which were very complicated and very confusing, and the wheels fell off the cart, so ended up a long battle over many years. But when I left the farm and started a business, I'd put that all behind me. That was all gone. It was out of my mind. People from those days then rang me and said, look, can you come and meet with these storm financial victims? Which I did. That's what took me down the finance road, if you can put it that way.
Even though you were one of the loudest voices and the most consistent campaigners on bringing about the Banking Royal Commission, and even though it was a pain in the arse for the banks, when you gave your farewell speech in Parliament, the boss of CommBank, Matt Common, he came along to watch you and support you, give your farewell speech.
And I had a call from Andrew Thorburn, a lovely letter from Brian Hart, the CEO of Westpac. What it is, when I got into the banking sector, I wasn't a bank hater or a bank basher. I just wanted to keep them honest. And so people started coming to my office with problems, and Greg Coach, my Chief of Staff, got very familiar with the whole banking sector. We had representatives from the banks. We'd send them off an email, say, here's the problem, can we chat about it? And probably the best work my office ever did, Ben, was something that people never know about, the problems we solved behind the scenes. And I worked closely with the banks and got on very well with them, and I praised them in media releases when they did the right thing, and I bashed them when they did the wrong thing.
But what a credit to you that you're able to treat people in a way that you'd want to be treated. Just that.
Yeah,
that you,
exactly.
When you do something decent, you're going to get a rap. When you do something wrong, you're going to get a kick in the backside.
I always run on a theory, Ben, life's about fairness. A fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Treat your people around you, your customers or whatever, fairly. And that's what the principle I worked on.
Well, you've been a truckie, you've been a shearer.
Yeah.
Just answer something for me. What's the secret to shearing a sheep?
Well, it's a bit difficult because man wasn't designed to work upside down. But when I learned to shear back in 1973, 74, my brother Peter taught me. He had been shearing for 12 months. I weighed 65 kilos. My father Reggie had a merino sheep stud, and of course the sheep never went hungry, and they were heavier than me. The first day shearing, I worked 8 hours, 4 runs at 2 hours. At the end of the day, I'd shorn 32 sheep, crawled out on my hands and knees just about. I thought, well, this is a waste of time, but we stuck at it, and once you got the knack of it and controlled the sheep, well, on I went from there.
What about being on the road as a truckie? What does that teach you?
Well, when I left college in Adelaide, when I matriculated year 12 in 72, I won a Commonwealth Scholarship at university. Did part-time studies for 3 months. I thought, no, I've had enough of the city. When I went back onto the farm with my father, Reg, and brother Peter, and of course Mum and Peter's wife, Carol, we didn't have enough land, so I would work on the farm during harvest or sowing time, sowing a crop or shearing. Then I'd drive trucks or shear sheep the rest of the year to make my living. It
gives you a real understanding of real people. That obviously helps. I mean, I think in politics...
It does. I think it's a big thing, Ben.
So many bush politicians seem to connect with people, and not just people from regional Australia, but people from all of Australia. They seem to connect with them so much better than people from the Big Smoke.
When I started in the Senate, Barnaby was my leader. Well, I actually made him leader with a vote a couple of months after I'd been in the Senate. And he said to me, one day, Wacka, don't change the way you speak. Just talk about your experiences. The best thing you can offer this place is what you've lived through, and that's all I could offer is the life experience, which is a very good teacher. And I say to my kids, Ben, there's 2 ways you learn this life. You either listen to me or you go and make all the mistakes I made, because I made millions.
Speaking of mistakes and Barnaby, that would have been a big thing when Barnaby's life kind of started crumbling down around him. And I don't know how much you knew before it all kind of came to light. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just kind of interested in, as a mate and as a colleague, when you see all of that stuff starting to explode or implode, whatever it might be, what was it like being near all of that? And...
It was terrible. And when I heard the rumours, I was probably the last in the National Party room to get the rumour. I went and saw Barnaby and said, what's going on? And we had a bit of a chat. And we went to Rockhampton to a party room meeting up there at... you knew that was a hot seat, Capricornia, Michelle Landry. Well done, Michelle, for winning the seat for the 3rd time in a row. And I said to Barnaby, mate, you've got to get it straight. Nancy and I are not picking sides. We're friends with Nat, we're friends with you. And we still meet with Nat when we're in Tamworth, have breakfast with her. I'm still friends with Barnaby, but it was very sad to see them break up and the pressure on them and the 4 daughters. And it's just one of those things. And Barnaby had to stand down from DPM's job, Deputy Prime Minister. We lost our best salesman, our best fighter, our best message seller. So for the party, it was a big hit. But the biggest hit was to the family, and I'm very sorry it all happened, but it's out of my control, and I wish them all the best in the future.
I've had a little bit to do with Barnaby, and I've met his daughters as well, a couple of his daughters. I haven't met Natalie Joyce, but from those who know her, and I know quite a few people who know her, they just say, mate, she's just an incredible woman.
Oh, she's a lovely woman. Lovely woman, Nat, gracious, and I'm sure she could have come out through this whole dispute and poured a bucket on Barnaby, but she never did. She was just gracious and took the broken marriage on the chin, and yeah, I think she commands a lot of respect.
Do you need to...
You'll have a second sip of this?
Yeah, mate, you can drink the whole thing. We can drink the whole bottle if you like.
Who carries us out?
It's all there. I mean, I haven't touched it for 21 years, so we may as well give it a lick. Do you never need to give someone like that a bit of a whack, like as a mate or as a colleague, to kind of say, listen, mate, what do you... Because there were moments there that Barnaby was just, by his own admission, I mean, he lost the plot.
Yeah, Barnaby was always very hard to talk to. The best time I could speak to Barnaby was either in my office, and very rare we'd have a drink. Even though we had a cabinet full of grog in Canberra, we'd rarely have a drink. And, or when he come to the farm and we'd sit down and have a chat at the farm, when he got him away from his mind spinning on all the things happening in politics, etc., we'd have some good chats, and we're pretty good mates, yeah, and sort of just one of those things that I think's very sad, but out of yours and my control, and I just, as I said, wish them all the best in the future.
You've had so many achievements in your time in politics. What are you going to do now when you go back to Inverell and when it's all over? I know you've still got plenty of things that you're going to be doing, and even in the banking sector and people who've been impacted by these things and drought and whatever, you're still there to help people, but yeah. What are you going to do? What's Wacka going to do?
Well, as Nancy said to me, let's just call July off and see what happens and stay at home. And I can't go away for a holiday or a break because the drought's on. We've got sheep to feed every couple of days and check for water and so on. So back to the farm, do jobs around the farm. Got some things coming up. For example, in early August, Adele Ferguson launched her book called Banking Bad. It's going to be a big book, a big seller, and I want to be at the launch of that here in Sydney. I've got to go to Melbourne in September to speak to the motor vehicle dealers about my time in politics. Up to Noosa Heads in August to speak at a financial gathering there.
So you're not kind of laying on the beach anywhere just yet?
No, I won't be doing that. I can't go away because of this drought.
When's it going to rain, mate? I mean, I know that...
I wish I knew how to answer that, but it's just... I mean, last year we had 19 inches of rain on the farm, which is about 10 inches below average. This year's a lot worse than last year, and it's extremely worrying, especially for wheat farmers in Moree, the big wheat growing country, where they simply don't have the subsoil moisture or the rain to grow wheat crops. It could be a second big failure in a row. And now we're seeing imports of wheat coming in from Canada. You know, it's very drastic. Just when times were looking so good on the land, with the lamb prices, the wool prices, the cattle prices, the mutton prices, all brilliant, Ben. And now we've got this drought that's put the spanner in the whole works. So let's hope the rain comes soon.
There's something I've picked up on when talking to you over the years, and that is the way you talk about your wife, Nancy. Yeah. There's a certain, I don't know, special place, level.
She's my soulmate.
You know, you...
Yeah.
Tell
Can I
me...
have another one?
Yeah, mate, you can have as much as you want.
No, we're very close. We're very good friends. We're soulmates, and we never get sick of each other's company. And I look forward to spending...
What is it about her? What is it about Nancy that floats your boat?
She's so placid. She would never raise her voice, never. Except one day I was tipping some dirt on the front garden, and one of the roses... We've got roses in the front garden that were planted by her uncle who got killed in the Second World War, so we've kept them from house to house. And I tipped the front end loader bucket a bit and a bit of dirt went on, and she yelled out, "It's only time, don't hurt the rose." But she's so placid, she's so caring, she's, as I said... just my soulmate.
And she's been your #1 supporter and really, you know, the driver, driving you around, you and staff. And
drive me so all the time.
What are you going to do? I'm going into bat for Nancy here. I mean, I know you've been a good husband, but what are you going to do for Nancy now to kind of have a bit of Nancy time for the next couple of
I'd like to take away some holidays somewhere. We'd spend time together, perhaps up to the Kimbleys, down to the Victoria, Great Ocean Road, some places like that. I've already taken a fair few places for some holidays, Samoa and Norfolk Island. So, yeah, respect Nancy and look after her, and because the time will come with my Parkinson's disease, she'll probably have to look after me, so...
Are you OK?
Don't even have the shakes. I'm very lucky. I've had it for 4 years now, Ben, and my neurologist reckons I'll get 8 to 10 good years, so fingers crossed, I'll be going all right.
You know what's good for it?
What's that?
Whiskey.
Cheers.
You're a bloody legend, Wacka.
Ben, good to chat to you.
Good on you, mate.
All the
Thank
best,
you
mate.
so much.
Good on. Thank you.
The one and only John Wacka Williams.